Okay, so I have started the recording. I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yesterday we understood what is domain and what are different types of domain, and also we understood the terminologies of agile or scrum methodology. Okay, and also we understood what is a project and what are the different stages of the project. Fine. So as I already told you, we will be picking up one particular e-commerce application and we'll be exploring that. So before doing that, we need to understand what is the business model that e-commerce follows. Right. So there are multiple business models, but among them, I have uh, selected around three different business models that e-commerce will follow, and we'll understand them one by one. And see, these type of business models you people might have come across while purchasing any products from any of the e-commerce applications. Okay, so let's quickly understand types of business models in e-commerce. In this, the first type of business model that we are going to understand would be B2C, or it is something called as business to consumer. Right. So, what will happen in business to consumer model, or how business to consumer model will work is here the business will sell the products to their end users or the consumers. Okay, who directly the end users can contact the business and purchase the products of their choice. Okay, so the consumers will buy the products online. That is very well known. Why? Because e-commerce means electronic commerce, where user will not visit the store offline or directly. They will be purchasing the products online. Okay, and so like to purchase the product, it can be any product, right? So as you people know, we'll purchase electronic items, we'll purchase say like household items, or we'll purchase wardrobe items, right? We'll purchase shoes, right? Name any item, we can get it online, right? So, and uh, in business to consumer model, the decision maker is consumer, right? So, if consumer wants the product, he will buy it, or if he don't want the product, he will not buy it. And also, one more thing to notice here is the uh, I can say the purchase of the products, or the number of products purchased in the B2C or the business to consumer model would be of low quantity, right? So, have you people ever tried to add a particular mobile phone more than 5 units or more than 10 units using Flipkart or Amazon? Have you ever tried it?
No,
Hello?
sir. No, no, sir.
Okay. So basically, if you try it right, what will happen is it will not let you to purchase more number of similar product. Okay, so they would put some restriction, like if you select under electronics any specific mobile, they would have set a restriction, only so many units only as a end user or as a consumer you can buy, not more than that. The reason behind that is they will feel that if you purchase more number of units, you can buy it and you can resell it to somebody else. So wherever you people are free, just try to access Flipkart and try to add any particular one electronic item, not only electronic item, take any particular product, okay, and try to add more number of units, and you can see the restriction that would be set over there. Okay, so you people can try it whenever you have time. All right, so let me give you the notes on what is this business to consumer model. um, so this model, um, the products that's sold directly to the consumers or end users. Consumers can see products online. Consumers can buy the products online, and it can be of any products like household items, wardrobe. Wardrobe means the clothing, etc. Right, and any accessories, right? And what else? Uh, the decision maker, the consumer, is model, and the purchase the products will happen, will happen in lower quantity. Right, so we'll have certain restrictions that we will not be able to purchase more than the quantity that is set by the business. Okay. All right. So this is the pretty first model that you people need to understand. Why? Because most of the e-commerce giants they work on this B2C model. All right. So now the next one is uh, B2B. That is business to business. Okay. So in business to business model, what will happen is one business will sell the products to another business. Here, the buyer will buy the products and he will resell it to the consumers who use the products. Okay. So, and one more thing here is like in B2B model, the purchase of the products will happen in a higher quantity. Okay. And also, uh, yeah, higher quantity, and also the sales cycle will be longer over here. So, sales cycle is longer means, suppose imagine a business purchases 100 products from another business. Okay. So, in order to sell that 100 products, it might take him 2 days or 1 week time. So the sales cycle will be longer. All right. So that is what I'm trying to tell here. Right. So the purchasal of the products will happen in bulk, and the sales cycles will be longer. Okay. And the business who purchases the products from another business will resell it to their consumers or customers. So this is how the business to business model works. Okay. So I'll just provide the notes in this model. The business will sell the products to another business, right? And the buyer can be a end user who the buyer can be the end user who buys and resells products to the end users. Sorry, I can say consumer, because both the way if I write end user it will be confusing. Consumers. Okay. And as I told you, in this model, mm, in this model, product purchasal will be of higher value, higher, I'll say higher order value and recurring purchase. Right. So once the products are sold, again they will be purchasing the products in a higher order values. Mm, and also, I told it's a is a longer sales cycle, right? So, all right, this is all about the B2B. Now let's understand one more model. Okay, so how this particular model works and what is that particular model? That is B2B2C. So business to business to consumer, right? So in this model, what will happen? Um, in this model, one business will purchase the products from another business, or one company will purchase the products from another company. Okay. And it would be kind of partnership with another company, right? But what will happen here is Once the one business purchases the product from another business, what they will do, they will rebrand the product with their name. Okay, and this concept is called as white labeling. Okay, for example, how I can say is now uh, mm, there is a cosmetics company, okay, called as Nika. So now Amazon will purchase a particular cosmetic from Nika, okay, but they will not name that product as Nika. What they will do, they will rebrand it to their name, okay, and they will sell that product to their customers. Actually, in fact, I took the Nika, but Nika works on B2B2C basically. So what Nika does is they will purchase the cosmetics in bulk from the manufacturer, and they will name that particular product as Nika, and then they will sell it to their consumers. So basically, Nika is a kind of application which follows this B2B2C model. Okay, and the rebranding of the product is known as a white labeling of the product. Okay, so they will have a agreement, right, or a SLA, service level agreement, that would be signed in such a way that whatever products that they purchase from the manufacturer, they are not going to use the name of the manufacturer name. Instead, they are going to white label it as their brand, and then they will sell it to the consumers. Okay, and who are the consumers who purchase the product, right? What they will think? They will think that it is a product of Nika itself, which means they think that Nika only manufactures it and they sell it to their consumers. But actually, in fact, in the background, what will happen? They will purchase the products directly from the manufacturer who manufactures it, and then they will just white label it or rebrand the name of that particular product and sell it to their consumers. So this is how the B2B2C model will work. Okay, so let me give the notes. So in this company will uh, purchase the products in partnership with another company and sell it to the consumers, sell it to the consumers. Okay, and this model company will purchase the product in partnership with another company and sell it to the consumers. Here, products will be white labeled. So, what is this white labeled mean? White labeled means uh, hmm, company will rebrand the product. The company will rebrand the product to represent the product as their Okay, so this is called as white labeling. And also the end user who purchases the product, right? What he will think? He will think that he is buying the product from that particular company itself. The consumer will think that they are buying the product from the original company, right? So this is how the B2B2C model works. And there are many other models, right? But which is not of that much necessary for us to understand. Like, for example, there is C2C model also, like consumer to consumer model, right? Where customer can directly sell the product to another customers. For example, this there was one website, right? I forgot the name of the website. Uh, so where whatever the product that is used by a consumer, he can put that particular product on the website, and another consumer can directly contact the consumer, and they can purchase the product. Some
OLX, sir.
OLX, yes, exactly. I was searching for that word. So OLX is a better example for C2C, consumer to consumer model. Okay, so there are few other models, but which is not really necessary for us to understand. So if you understand these business models as of now, that would be more than enough for us. So any doubts in these models?
No, sir.
Oh, all right. So now let's go further and understand one of the important concept. Okay, so you'll have to really understand this particular concept very well. Why? Because once you start working, this is how you will be starting testing in different stages or different environments. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, the next concept would be environment. So can somebody tell me what is the environment?
Sir, in general terms or in software terms?
In software terms.
The place like the where we test the application, it's like SIT regression system.
Mhm. Okay. So in order to test, do you really require an environment?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, excellent. All right. You're absolutely right. So environment, I can say environment is a setup. Okay. which consists of both hardware and software to test any particular given application. And in order to use any particular application, okay, by the end users, the application should be available in a particular environment called as production environment. Okay, and it should be live for the end users to use it. Then only users will be able to use the application, or else they'll not be able to use the application. All right. So environment is a setup which consists of hardware and software test the given application, right? So without environment, we will not be able to test the application. Either it can be a back end or it can be a front end, anything. You'll not be able to test it. Okay. You will be able to test it without environment, wherein you'll be able to test it in the local machine. I will tell you what is local machine. See, whenever developer starts developing or implementing the feature, right? He will be writing the code in his local machine, correct? So once he starts writing the code in his local machine, he can execute the code in his local machine. That is as good as that, no environment or without environment, right? So what will happen here is the code that is written by the developer, it will get executed in his local machine, but once it is moved to environment or any testing environment, it might not work, right? Why? Because as I told you, environment is set up of a hardware and a software, and along with that, there will be certain configurations that would be made in the environment. So once the code that is written by the developer in the local machine is pushed to any particular environment, it might work or it might not work. Or in the same way, the code that is written by the developer, it might work in his local machine and it might not work in another machine. Getting the point. So we can test it by executing the code in the local machine where the code is written. Okay. It is not like we cannot test the application without environment. We can test it, but nobody does that job, right? And only developer will do it. Okay, whenever he writes the code, he'll execute it and check, okay, it is working or not. If it is working, what he will do, he will create a build. Okay, so can somebody tell me what is a build now? What is a build?
Piece of code.
Okay, it's a piece of code. Anybody else? What do you think? What is a build?
A piece of software which is installed by the developer.
Okay, all right. So a build is a compiled and compressed form of code. It is a compiled and compressed form of code. So Um, Once developers write the code, what they will do, they will compile it. Okay, why they will compile it? Just to check whether the code that is written is appropriate, or it is syntactically correct or not. So, in order, if you are using any particular programming language and you are writing the code, right? Programming language will have certain standards that would have been set, right? So they would have set some syntax. If you are using any developing concept, you should follow that syntax and then only you can write the code. So in order to check that, what they will do, they will compile the code. Once they compile the code, they will get to know whether the code that is written using any programming language is syntactically correct. Okay. Once it is syntactically correct, then they will execute that code or run that code. Once it is working, then what they will do, they will compress that code and then they'll create a build. So what will happen once they compress the code? The code will be something which would be a installable file. So in order to install the software in the Windows machine, we need a .exe file, right? And if you want to install the software in the Mac operating system, you need .ipa file, right? So what is these .exe file, .ipa file? These all are the compressed form of the software or the application. Okay. So what is a build? It is a compiled and compressed form of code. Why they will compile it? To understand whether the code that is written is a syntactically correct code. Okay, and then they will run it. Why they will run it, or why they will execute it? Just to check whatever the logics that he has written is working as per the functionality or the requirement. Okay, and then what they will do, they will compress it and they will create it as a build. Any doubts here? What is a build? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Now let us understand what are the different types of environments that we might have. Okay, so in environment, I can say we'll have something called as QA environment, or we can have something called as testing environment, or we can have something called as staging environment. Okay. Also, we can have something called as UAT, that is used acceptance testing environment, or we can say pre-production environment, and we can have something called as production environment, right? So we can have other environments as well. Okay, we can have, have something called as dev environment, right? So these are the different types of environments that you can have, right? So I'll tell you what are these environments basically. So as I already told you, the environments are the setup which consists of hardware and software. So all these are same. Okay. Now, but you are seeing a prefix before environment called as dev, QA, testing, staging, UAT, pre-production, production. What are these? These are the name that is given to a environment. Okay. So, for example, my name is Vikram. Okay. If somebody calls me Vikram, then I will respond to them. Correct? Why? Because my name is Vikram. Right. So, if somebody calls my name, I will respond them. If somebody calls Revati, who will respond from here? It would be Revati. Right. If I call Kiran, Kiran will respond me. If I call Kiran, Nayak will respond me. No, right? So, what is a name? It is name is something which is used to identify a person. In the same way, okay, whatever that you see over here, dev, QA, testing, staging, UAT, pre-production, production, it is a name that is given to the environment. Is as simple as that. Okay. Instead of these names, there can be a different name that would be given in a company. Okay. Don't ever go with QA environment means, okay, in all companies, it should be QA environment only. No, they can have some different environment name. Or they can name the environment as Vikram environment also. Why? Because this is just a name. Clear? Because I see most of the people get confused because of these names. Okay, they think, okay, UAT environment means it is used to give demo to uh, the stakeholders, and to give the demo to the stakeholders only UAT environment is used. No, you can give the demo to the stakeholders using any environment. There is nothing, or there is no such hard and fast rule that if you want to give demo to the customer, then we should use UAT environment. No, nothing as such. Okay, it is just a name that is given to the environment. Always keep this thing clear in your mind. Okay, instead of QA, I can give some different environment like Prasad environment. Now, what will happen? This is just a name that is given to this environment. Understood this concept?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, let us understand, go in depth and understand how things will be pushed to different environments, okay, and how our testing will carry forward. Now, as I told you, developers will write the code in their local machine for any particular feature. And what will happen? Developers will perform one round of unit testing. What is unit testing? Testing each and every line of code is called as unit testing. So they will perform one round of unit testing. Okay. And once dev feels, okay, whatever the code that he has written, it's working as expected. Now what he will do? He will create a pull request. I'll tell you what is a pull request, but as of now, understand. Developer will create a pull request, and whatever the pull request that is created by the developer will be reviewed by his colleague or the fellow developer or the development lead or the staff engineer. And once while reviewing, they feel, okay, whatever the code that is written by this developer, it is appropriate, or if it is fine, then what they will do, they will approve the pull request. They'll approve the pull request, and they will merge that pull request into a environment, and that environment can be a QA environment or testing environment or staging environment, any particular environment which is used for testing. And now once it is pushed for a particular environment, they will inform the QA team or the QA engineers. Okay, now what will happen? A QA engineer will test the feature by following the test cases that is written by him. And if everything is working fine, all the test cases are working as expected, then what we will do, we will give a sign off in that particular environment in which we are testing. Or else, if we find any issues, we will raise that particular issues and ask the developer to fix it. Okay. Once developer fix it, we will retest that particular. Once developer fix it, he will again push that particular code to the testing environment where we are testing it. Okay. And how we will push the code or how we'll merge the code. Again, once after the bug fix is done, he will raise a pull request and get it approved from his fellow developer or from his development lead, and then get it merged. Okay. Now we will retest that particular defects. If it is working fine, we'll close the defect, and whatever the feature that we are testing, if it is working fine in this testing environment, we will give a sign off stating that all the test cases are executed and it is working fine as expected. You can push that particular piece of code to next environment, that is UAT environment or pre-production environment. Okay. Now, what will happen in order to push that code to the UAT environment or pre-production environment? Now the developer will raise the pull request and he will get it merged to this particular next level environment. And in this next level environment, again, test engineer will test the application or the feature. And while testing in the next level environment, if we find any issue, we will raise the issue and ask the developer to fix it. Now, what developer will do? Developer will fix the issue and he will create a pull request for that particular issue. Okay. And he will push it to this environment, get it tested. Again, he will push it to the next level environment, get it tested. And once we give sign off in this environment, UAT or pre production environment, then we will give a sign off over here, and that particular feature will be moved to production environment. Okay, so once it is pushed to the production environment, okay, now they will release this particular piece of feature to the end users who can use it in the production environment or in the real time. All right, so I will repeat it whatever that I have told, just to make sure that you people have understood better. Okay, whenever developer writes the code in the local machine, okay, he will perform a unit testing, that is testing each and every line of the code. And once it is working fine, what he will do, he will create a pull request. Okay, and once he create a pull request, that pull request will be reviewed by his fellow developer and the development lead. Once they feel okay, whatever the code that is written by the developer, it is working fine as expected, they will approve that pull request and they will merge it to any of these particular environment for testing purpose. I see, The company would have named the environment as QA or testing or staging. Any one environment, they will push the code or merge the code. Once it is merged, they will inform the QA engineer, hey, the code is merged in staging environment, for example. Now, in this staging environment, we will carry forward our testing by following the test cases that we have written. Now, once we test the feature by following the test cases, if we find any issue, we will raise that issue and we will assign that issue or bug to the developer. Now, what developer will do? He will fix that issue and he will create a pull request and get it approved and get it merged and push it to staging again. Now the bugs will be retested in this environment. And now if we feel okay, the feature that is there in the staging environment, it is working as expected or it is working as per the requirement, then we will give a sign off. Now the developers will create a pull request to get the code merged in the next level environment, for example, in pre-production environment. Now what we'll do, we'll again follow the test cases that is written by us. We will test it in the pre-production environment. And if we find any issues, we'll raise the issue and that particular issue will be fixed by the developer and we will get that particular bug fix reviewed and merged into staging. We will verify the bug fix in staging and if it is working fine, we'll give a sign off that that particular bug fix can pushed into pre-production. And now once that bug fix is pushed to pre-production, we will verify it in pre-production environment. And if we feel, okay, all the test cases are working fine for that particular feature, now we will give a sign off and that particular feature will be pushed to the production environment. Now, in order to push it to the production environment, the developer will raise a pull request again so that that particular pull request can be merged into the production environment. Now, once it is pushed to the production environment, we will be testing this particular feature in the production environment by following the test case. And if everything is working fine, we'll give sign off in the production environment and the feature will be released to the end users for their use. So this is how they follow in order to push any particular feature to the release branch in order to make that particular feature live for the end users to use. Okay. So here I have been telling pull request, pull request. So what is that pull request? See, whenever the developer writes the code, right? I told you that it will be written in the local machine. Okay. In local machine, how he will write? He will create a local branch in his machine and he will write it. Okay. But in order to merge that particular code that is written, okay, where it will be merged? It will be merged in a tool called as GitHub. Okay, it will be merged in a tool called as GitHub or Bitbucket. Okay, so what is this GitHub or a Bitbucket? It is a repository. Okay, this GitHub or a Bitbucket is a repository where all the code that is written by the developer will be pushed and stored. Okay, so in order to get this code written by the developer to be pushed in the GitHub or Bitbucket repository, what he should be doing? He should be raising a pull request in the GitHub or a Bitbucket. So once he raised that pull request, it would be reviewed, and if the senior developer feels okay, it is fine, he will approve it and he will merge it to the specific environment. And to merge it, it can be merged to the staging environment. And once the testing is complete in staging, once QA gives sign off, then what they will do, they will create one more pull request to merge the code into pre-production environment. And once it is tested in pre-production environment, and once QA gives sign off, now what they will do, they'll create a pull request to merge that particular piece of code into production environment. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
What about others?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So what I'll do, like I will give the notes, okay, so that you can go through that particular notes whenever you have time, so that you will have a better understanding and a clarity. All right. So now what will happen in the initial state? I'll say,
Sir, installation of build is same as the merging of the build.
see, I'll tell you, if it is a web application, right, they will merge the build, okay, and all you need to do is you need to use the URL and you need to test it if it is a web application. But if it is a mobile application, right, what will happen if they merge it to this particular environment? Okay, they will have to create a build and you need to install that APK or IPA files into your mobile device if it's a mobile application.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
but web application will not be installing it, right? What you need in order to use a mobile app, sorry, what you need in order to use a web application, you require a browser. That's it. And you require a URL. If you have a browser and a URL, you can test it on staging, pre-production, and production. But in order to test the mobile application, you require a file, .apk file or .ipa file, which you will have to install it in your device and you will have to test it. So once they merge the code into staging, what they will do, they will generate a build using a tool, and you will be receiving .apk file or .ipa file in case of mobile applications. But in case of web application, once they push the code to staging environment, all you need to do is you need to have a browser and a staging environment URL. If the code is pushed to pre-production environment, all you need to have is a browser and a pre-production environment URL, right? So this is how the testing will happen. I will provide that particular point as well. If it's a web application, you need to have a URL, and the URL can be of staging, pre-production, or production. But if it is a mobile application, each and every time they push the code to a or they merge the code to a different environment, they will be giving you a build which would be pointing to that particular environment. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me give you the notes for this. Developers will write for the feature in the local machine. Mm, Dev will perform a round of testing. I'll say one round of unit testing. Now, if dev feels that it is working fine, what he will do, dev will create a pull request. And where this pull request is created, it is created in the, say, like GitHub or Bitbucket. It is a, again, a tool, or it is a repository where whatever the code that is written, it would be pushed to that particular repository. So this pull request is also called as PR. PR. Okay. So once you get a job, you will be hearing this word a lot. Okay. They will tell PR is raised. It has to be merged. Okay. PR is raised. Please approve. Please review it and approve it, uh, and merge it for testing. Okay. So you can hear this particular PR word very frequently from devs. Okay. Now what will happen once the PR is raised or PR is created? PR will be reviewed by the fellow developers, or mm, developer lead, or develop, I'll say engineering manager. Okay. Once they review it and they feel everything is working fine, they will approve, they'll approve the PR and merge PR and merge merge the code of the staging branch or staging environment. Okay. And inform the engineer. So here I will be considering staging environment as the first level of environment for testing, and then I'll be considering pre-production. Okay. And then finally I'll be considering production. And I have written something called as dev environment. See, in certain organizations, what will happen, whatever the dev testing that they have performed on their local machine, instead of performing the unit testing on the local machine, what organizations or the companies will do, they will have a dedicated environment for dev team. So devs can push the code to that particular environment. They can carry forward their unit testing and then provide it for test QA test engineers on the next level of environments. Okay, but not all organizations have this particular option. Why? I'll tell you. See, one environment can cost them huge amount of money. Okay, so organizations or companies will try to minimize the environments as much as possible based on the funds that they have to run their business. If funds are more, they will have multiple environments. If funds are less, if it's a startup company, they will try to minimize the environments as much as possible. Okay, so setting up an environment, it will cost very much for the company. Okay, it is not as simple as we think. Okay, fine. So now, once the PR is merged and it is given for the QA engineer for testing, what QA engineer will do? QA engineer will test the feature by following the test cases that are written as the feature. Right. Where on staging environment. Okay. Now, if we are testing, it's quite obvious that we will identify bugs, right? So during testing, if there are any issues or defects, QA will raise the issue or I will say defect and assign it to the developer. Okay. Now, uh, dev will fix the issue and mm, follow the above procedure, push or merge the bug fix to the staging environment and reassign the bug to the QA engineer. So what will happen once we identify the bug, we'll create or we'll raise a defect and assign that particular ticket to the developer. Now what developer will fix the issue and follow the above procedure means the same procedure. Create a pull request, get it reviewed and get it merged. Okay. Same procedure to push or merge the bug fix to the staging environment and reassign that particular bug on the QA engineer name. Okay. Now, what QA engineer will do? QA engineer will retest, will retest the defect that is fixed and close it. Okay, if it is working as expected. Okay, and give sign off. Feature in staging environment and ask the developer to push or merge the code or feature to the pre-production environment. So it is clear, right? So now what will happen? Dev will create the pull request, pull request for the feature and get it merged the pre-production environment and inform the QA engineer. Guys, just give me a minute. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So they will create the pull request and inform the QA engineer that there is a story pre-production environment. Okay. So now what QA engineer will do? QA engineer will start testing it in the pre-production environment, right? So now QA engineer will start testing the feature in the pre-production environment. And something is not working as expected, right? QA will raise the issue and assign uh, it to the developer. Okay. Now what developer will do? Dev will fix the issue. Dev will fix the issue and reassign it to QA. Now QA will retest the issue and close it if the defect is fixed. And QA will give sign off to the feeder in the pre-production environment if this working as expected, uh, and ask the developer to push the changes to the production environment. Okay. Now, developer will raise a PR and get the feature merged the production uh, production environment. Okay. Now inform QA engineer that mm, changes or that the feature is pushed production environment. Now what QA will do? QA will test the feature production environment, and if everything is working fine, then give sign off, make the feature live for the end users. Right. So in order to push a particular feature for the end users use, these many things should happen, and QA engineer should give the sign off in so many places. And if it is a web application, okay, I will give some example URLs, how the URLs will look like. If it is a web application, right? For example, let's consider the application is a Google application. Okay. Okay. If it is a web application, then the URL, if it's pushed to staging, the URL will look something like this. Um, staging.google.com. For example, think that you are testing a Google application. Okay. So this is how the URL will look like if you are testing some feature in the staging environment. And if it is a production environment, okay, the URL will look something like this: pre-production.google.com. So this would be something example that I am trying to give you people. Okay, and if it is a production environment, then it is google.com. Okay, and as I told you, okay, even developers might have a dedicated environment, so it would be something like this: dev.google.com. If dev have a dedicated environment, uh, perform dev testing, right? So this is how a feature will be taken live for the end users. So any doubts here, guys? Like whatever that you understood here. Hello.
No, sir.
Okay. What about others? Because this is really very critical concept. Okay. If you understand this, your life will be easier as a QA engineer in the company. Okay. Or else it will be little difficult.
No,
Uh,
sir.
Okay. Great. Fine. So whatever the prerequisites that I wanted to cover in order to start the exploratory project. I have covered everything. Okay. From next class onwards, I will pick a application, e-commerce application, and we'll start exploring. You will understand how to explore an application, okay, and how to understand that particular application once you have explored it. Okay, and based on that, we'll come up with a test plan document and test cases document. Okay, so if you people don't have any doubts, then we can wind up for the day, guys. Okay, we'll catch up again in the next session, that is on Monday.
Okay, sir.
Sure, sure.
All right, guys, and have a wonderful day ahead. See you guys in the next session. Bye bye.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.